Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. I'm back here at one of my favorite undisclosed locations because guess what? We have a special car from a special person. This is a 1997 BMW M3. This is the E36 series of the BMW, one of the most lusted after. And what makes this car so special is not just because it's an E36, it's because it's Victor's very own BMW M3. Remember, Victor, new addition here at Rady's Rides. This proves that he is really, truly a car enthusiast. But before we dive into this, let's talk about the history of BMW. So BMW, that iconic brand, has been around for so many decades, and it all started off of airplanes and airplane engines. Then it went to motorcycles, and then it went to automobiles. The M badge. M stands for motorsports. When you see that badge on a BMW vehicle, you know that it has the true essence of all that history, the race wins, championships, and everything else. Now, with this 1997 BMW M3, this really was at a time when BMW was making some naturally aspirated straight six engines that were producing a lot of not only power, but also a fun driving experience and a very engaged driving experience. One thing is for certain, no matter what year it is, when you look at a 1997 BMW M3, a true M car, you are going to get a very, very special vehicle, especially if you're lucky enough to find one like Victor's in pristine original condition. So let's go ahead, dive into this 1997 BMW M3. For 1997, there were some changes, and we're going to get to that in a second. But coming in, I love the classic box style of this time period. Really just has so much personality. And when you look at one of these M3s compared to a new one thing that's definitely going to blow your mind is just the size. A much smaller car, much lighter car. You can see what we were working with the headlight design at that time. I really love the way they blacked out the interior of the headlight housing. And that's where we're gonna, remember, when we're going over this car, it's all about keeping it to that 1997 period era when we're looking at zonks and whatnot. So far, I'm loving, this is what 1990s is all about for me. Now, as you drop down, you do have some flat black trim that goes around the vehicle. We have functional air intakes, lower exterior lighting, and I love the way the flat black front lip spoiler really kind of integrates nicely into a very aggressive front end. And we're just looking at the front corner here, wait until we get across here. So as we come across that kidney-shaped grille design for 1997, they did tweak the front fascia a tad, and they also made some changes underneath the hood. But this is what we're talking about. You know, when you look at the new BMWs, they're kind of moving away from that kidney-shaped grille, but you could clearly see that design. I love the chrome trim around the perimeter, the nice flat black vertical slots. You can see that BMW club badging there, and even the way they have BMW in this flat black, super clean. We come down, full functional opening here, and this splitter is not only going to help direct air into the radiator, but also give us downforce, because I'm telling you, these cars are so nimble at speed. But from one side to the other, you could just see very low, very wide, and really just proportioned nicely. Now, when we get up onto the hood, of course, you're gonna have that BMW logo, Bavarian Motor Works. Love the way they take the body line and just keep it raised all the way towards the windshield. And like I was saying, Victor worked very hard to find this one being in total stock condition. Now, as we come around the bend, you can see how that trim, black trim, very popular to have that kind of trim go around the whole belt line of the car. What are we working with? Wheel and tire setup. Beautiful bright silver wheel with the BMW badging, with that M logo. Remember, M stands for Motorsports. It's a 17-inch wheel, so it's 17 inches in diameter, and it's 7.5 inches wide. Out back, because this is rear-wheel drive, the wheel is a little bit wider, so it's 8.5 inches wide. But you could clearly see, just even though this is from 1997, beautiful cleanliness of the wheel. He's got some nice Michelin Pilot Super Sport tires on there. And if you're asking, well, Joe, why have a little bit smaller diameter? That's actually going to quicken up the steering. Braking back then, remember, we're not talking about 42 piston Brembo calipers back then. You have your sliding caliper, and that's a little bit over of a 12-inch rotor. Back then, braking technology was a little different than it was today, but remember, the car is lighter, so it's a trade-off. Now, as you go down the fender, I love nice prominent body line. There's that black trim, your M3 badging with those classic colors means so much to the people that are the fans of BMW. One of my favorite parts of the side of the M3 is I love that lower sill, the way it kind of tapers out and then in and then back out again, gives the side of the car a lot of style. You have a sunroof that's painted instead of a glass sunroof, nice painted sunroof. Coming back, 2 doors. I know you're probably scratching your head saying, Joe, I went to my BMW dealership the other day and an M3 had 4 doors. That was something that had changed. Now you could back then get your M3 with 4 doors, but they still called it an M3. It wasn't M4 2-door, M3 4-door. I know it's confusing now, but this is how it should be from the get-go. Nice 2-door, large rear quarter window. We keep working our way back. Like I was saying, those stock wheels look pristine on this car. And then when we get to the back, you get a nice low trunk spoiler. This is actually a functional piece. And I love the way it kind of dips down in the center there instead of just being totally flat across. We kind of drop down. You can see what we're working with taillights, the really nice specific era style of taillight design, super clear and clean. I love the way the trunk has a nice concave curve up on this back portion, that BMW logo, the M3 badge. Love the tail end of this car. And then as you work your way down, you have your twin outlet exhaust on one side. And if you notice, they're staggered. This one's a little bit in further than the one on the right. This rear flat black diffuser is just absolutely spot on the money. This is what you saw when you went into a BMW dealership back in 1997. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood and see what's powering this particular M3. All right, guys, we got the hood popped. You do have 2 hydraulic hood struts. Now, the one thing I want to point out that Victor added was this strut top brace here for stiffening up the front end of the vehicle. I like the way it's flat black. That was a good choice. It's made by ECS. One thing that the previous owner did was they added a full Mishimoto radiator setup to help with that cooling, because obviously over time that's one of those things that might need to be addressed, especially, you know, if you're going to drive this car on a regular basis, which guess what? Victor does drive this car. It's not a garage queen, but you could see just how period correct everything else is underneath the hood. So what are we looking at? This was an update for 1997 on the E36. That's a 3.2 liter inline 6, naturally aspirated, no turbocharger, no supercharger, 240 horsepower, 236 pound-feet of torque. It's all routed through a 5-speed manual transmission. And like I pointed out earlier, rear-wheel drive, 0 to 60. If you know how to dance and shift with that right arm, 0 to 60 in about 5.5 seconds, quarter mile in 14 flat at 99.2 miles an hour. And guess what? You're looking at MPGs 20 in the city and 28 on the highway. The great news is that this car is so light. It's well under 3,000 pounds, and that's what makes, you know, you look at the horsepower numbers, things were just different. You didn't have all these airbags, you didn't have all these safety features and, you know, Bluetooth and all that stuff. That kept the car lighter to where we didn't need 1,000 horsepower for every single car that you see out on the road. But looking at this engine is sweet. Let's go ahead and fire it up and hear what this M3 sounds like. All right, guys, we're inside Victor's pristine BMW M3. He really, like I said, he had a search, and that's the thing, is that if you want to get an E36 like Victor, if you want to be like Victor and get an E36, you got to put in the legwork to really find the right one. Don't get the first one that you see. This one right now has about 90,000 miles. Obviously, Victor's been driving it, so it had less when he picked it up, but in perfect condition, really, for that mileage. If you're wondering, well, Joe, back in 1997, how much did this M3 cost? You're looking at around $39,000 brand new back in 1997. Obviously, today, everything is going to be based off of mileage, condition, and originality. Let's see what you get when you're going E36. To the door panel. Now, I'm really digging the two-tone color. I'm glad that it's not just all dark gray. You'll notice some age and some wear, but we call that patina. You know, that's what shows that this vehicle is original. You do have 2 pockets in the door there, The front one is a little bit larger, so you could put some, maybe some Bavarian cream donuts. The rest you could, in that back one, you could put your Twinkies. And it's nice to see that BMW was thinking about Twinkie storage back in '97. Now, when you come to the dash, check this out. Look how far forward the dash is. The passenger has a very generous amount of just open space. This does have a front airbag for the passenger. Back in '97, you got your glove box, but you can see just how far this is pushed forward for the passenger. Everything else is driver oriented. It's a little bit tilted towards the driver. Passenger could see it, but it's still all about the driver. Large AC vent that really shows the design. They took it all the way into the design of this dash. What are we working with? Do we have you know, a touch screen and all that? No. Guess what? You got your Dolby sound cassette tape player there. This is all original with your radio controls, AC controls, and yes, the AC does work very nicely in here. You keep dropping your way down. Look at this little cubby. You can put your Jolly Ranchers, your Tootsie Rolls in there, and then this is where the magic really happens. So you have that nice slick shifting mechanical feel, 5-speed manual transmission. Interesting the way it has such a nice grip on it, and even after all this time, guess what? Still feels phenomenal. If you're wondering, well, what are these? This is for your windows, your side windows to go up and down, passenger and driver, and this is your lock and unlock button. So if you go to pick up a hot date and you're in your '97 M3, make sure you know where that button is so they could get into the car. Now, as we work our way back, we have a little bit of a ashtray. Victor's using it for his savings for his next classic M3, so very nice and clean. But look at this, no cracks, no fading. 2 cup holders, so if you get thirsty after eating your Bavarian cream donut or your German Twinkie, you could have some milk there. Good old-fashioned e-brake with the leather boot and the leather handle. Seats, let's talk about this. So they went with the lighter color to really bounce well with the door panel. You can see the M colors on the side, nice bolstering. And like I was saying, this is the wear. This car has 90,000 miles, as to be expected, the wear that you have, but nothing is actually ripped through, which looks phenomenal in here. And the seats are comfy. I'm 6 feet tall, plenty of headroom, and that's with a sunroof. The bolstering is nice, but it doesn't squeeze you and try to crush you, which is great. But overall, I love the classic layout in this 1997 M3. Why don't you come over to the business end? I want to show you behind this MOMO steering wheel. All right, guys, behind the wheel, the business end here, you got your M3 badging. And you know, Victor was talking with me. He's like, listen, don't hold back with the zonk. So I am going to issue a couple zonks. The first zonk is, I wish this car was mine. To be honest with you, this classic BMW really is a nice balance of being an original, great, clean condition, but one that you could still drive on a regular basis, just like Victor does. I think the real zonk for me, in all seriousness, is I don't love the light colored interior. I would have preferred a darker interior. Even black with the silver would have been my personal taste. But hey, this is Victor's baby, and Victor loves her, so, and I can't blame her. But you do have your power control seats, nicely situated on the side, just like a new BMW has. And then Victor went ahead and added this beautiful race-inspired MOMO Prototipo steering wheel. Love the stitch work, no buttons, no Bluetooth, no volume control, none of that crap. Nice thin spoke. I love the way they hollowed everything out in the center. And then you can see what we're working with instrumentation. You have your speedometer, your tachometer, everything, of course, is analog gauges. And like I was saying, this is what brings back that classic experience. The even better news is that you actually have 2 usable rear seats in this 2-door M3. But why don't we go ahead, let's check out the trunk and see how much space there is in this classic M3. All right, guys, time to check out the trunk. You push the button in, you lift it up, and then look what we have here. You have 2 nice hydraulic struts that hold open that trunk. Plenty of room inside. You could fold down the seats, and as you can see, Victor went ahead and has the jack and the torque wrench and everything all ready to rock and roll in case of an emergency. And it just shows, like I said, that Victor is a car guy. He's got his car cleaning products, and it makes sense. If I was driving this, if a bird crapped on it, I would want to make sure that I have my car cleaning products ready to rock and roll, because for a car that goes back to 1997, great wear on the paint. It looks so fresh and so new. But why don't we go ahead, let's get to the best part of any Raiti's Rides review. If you're ready, I'm ready. let's take this classic E36 BMW M3 for a spin.
All right, guys, we're inside this 1997 BMW M3. Such a pleasure, on throttle. So smooth. Love how smooth it is. And that great straight six, an inline six naturally aspirated engine just has such a personality. What's incredible is visibility in this car is spot on. Out the back window, so large, so clear. Side mirrors, they're on the smaller side, but they still work extremely well. As you can see, typical Florida drivers just pulling out in front of us, but nice and smooth with that naturally aspirated power. Into this right-hand bend, rear-wheel drive, just rolling. We're in third gear, nothing crazy right now. Just getting her warmed up. But I tell you, this gearbox, very nice, slick shifting, engages very nicely into each of the gates. And I'm gonna say it again, I think Victor really found the perfect M3 for this mileage and this price point for sure. We're gonna do a second gear roll. On throttle, here we go. You just let her wind out. Really, really nice, really nice. Just, you know, it was a different time to not have all these electronics underneath the hood, and you just feel so much more part of the driving experience. And that's what's great about this car. Looking out over the hood, you see just a little bit of that raised portion of it. Super clear. The steering wheel that Victor put in here, this MOMO steering wheel, I really like the thickness of it, and just kind of cleans up everything in front of you. Look at this thing, she hums. Wow, wow, wow. Very impressed. It's all about power to weight, and this thing really is on the money. Now, I guess one zonk for sure is that this particular M3 does not have a tilting telescoping steering wheel, so it does kind of block the gauges a little bit, but oh well. Really, really nice. I love how smooth. That's another thing, suspension. The suspension in here is really, really confidence inspiring and super smooth. Love how it just makes you feel. The seats are great. You're not sliding around, but yet you're not losing your breath because the seats are squeezing you, which is a nice touch as well. All right, guys, here we go. On throttle, second gear, let her wind out. I love the engagement into third. Remember, we have a stock exhaust on here. This isn't some race exhaust. It's got a nice hump to her and nothing too obnoxious, but you know that you got something special. And that's what I love about this car. It's just something special. Look how we handle through these little left-right transitions. Super smooth. And that's another thing. The steering is very, very quick in here. Very, very direct. You know, it's that hydraulic steering feel that, guess what? Because of all the electric racks, it's lost. It's lost. And it's, you know, we call that progress, but I'm not so sure. Would this be nice with an extra 100 horsepower? Sure. But the way that it's set up, it's so usable. The power is usable, and that's what's so important. You could have 1,000,000 horsepower if you're just spinning the wheels. What's the point of it, really? I guess to brag to your friends on how, you know, small you are. That's about it. All right, guys, one last time. Here we go, second gear. On throttle, just let the revs pull me up, into third. Really nice, smooth throttle action. Look at this. On throttle, fourth gear. Handles wonderful. And that strut brace that Victor put in there helps stiffen up the front end just a little bit. This car feels so balanced, so light on her feet. And I'm telling you right now, it's really, you want to jump on one of these because the prices are not going down. They're only going up. So if you've been wanting an E36, like a lot of other car enthusiasts out there, this is the time. But we're gonna go ahead, get back to our undisclosed location and wrap this one up, so I'll see you in a split second.
All right, guys, I feel like this has almost been like a DeLorean review. And the reason why I say that is because I feel like I just went back in time with this beautiful time capsule that Victor has, this 1997 BMW M3. It's really kind of sad in a way that this era is gone and it's gone forever, but the great news is you could track one of these down just like Victor did and really be able to relive that wonderful experience, having that naturally aspirated straight six, not a lot of technology inside, and it's just you, the open road, those 3 pedals, and that beautiful 5-speed transmission. But I definitely got to thank Victor for doing the work and finding her, because this is a very special car, and Victor's a very special person, as we are learning very quickly. If you want to keep seeing reviews, not only of classic 1990s sports cars and performance cars, but you want to see more subscribers, or maybe people that I know their cars, you want to see their cars on Raised Rides, leave a comment in the comment section. If you're new and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. This is the kind of stuff that we bring to you on Raised Rides, new cars, old cars, and everything in between. If you are a subscriber, thank you. Thank you very much for your support. We can't do it without you. If you want to keep helping us here on Raised Rides so that we can keep bringing this great content to you, click the link in the description, get yourself some Raised Rides merch. Got to give it up to Victor, not only for bringing out his car and fully detailing it, but also working that camera like a champ. Check him out on Instagram, Victor Scott Wang. The guy knows how to work a camera, and like we've proven with this car, he is a true car enthusiast. So thank you, Victor, for all your hard work, and just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.